Hi. Hope you're having a great day. It's a beautiful day here. We're actually in the middle of Vacation Bible School this week, so we've got several hundred children and 100 volunteers, and the whole building is like utter chaos, but it's a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and it's a good time every year. Now, in our readings, we have jumped back into Jeremiah. We've started Daniel, gotten into a couple of segments of Daniel. Yesterday, Heather talked to you about the fiery furnace. Today we bump back into Jeremiah, about the same time period. The destruction is underway in Jerusalem, and there were several things in today's reading in chapter 8 through 11 that just hit me. And I don't know if they're all tied together. I suppose I could figure out a way to do it, but nonetheless, I just wanted to bring them to you. And the first one is, how can you help people who literally can't be helped, whose own destructive behaviors bring nothing but ruin upon themselves? And what we have in this account is Jeremiah, God speaking through Jeremiah to the people and talking about the destruction that's happening. And in chapter 8, verse 15, we get this lament from God. And in fact, I'll start at verse 14, where it says, "Then the people will say, 'Why should we wait here to die? Come, let us go to the fortified towns and die there. For the Lord our God has decreed our destruction, and has given us a cup of poison to drink, because we sinned against the Lord. We hoped for peace, but no peace came. We hoped for a time of healing, but found only terror.'" It's almost as if they didn't believe God's words. They weren't even listening. They weren't even paying any attention. God said, "Here's how you can avoid this. I don't want to do this." And yet, the reality is, they couldn't even comprehend that. So they go on about their way, and now they're surprised and lamenting the fact, well, God's going to do this. There's nothing we can do. Well, there was something. You chose not to. And how much is that in our own lives sometimes a problem? That someone will tell us or advise us of a proper way to go, and we just can't make it happen. We just struggle with our own self-destructive behaviors. The truth is, God here has no choice. He established His covenant, He established His rules, and now He's only executing His justice according to what was agreed upon, according to what He had told the people. And yet, all of it could have been prevented, but the people decided they were going to go their own way, and they really weren't listening to God. Now, before I get to a point that is kind of related to that, I wanted to move on and talk a little bit about chapter 10, and I thought it's interesting because there are a couple of points here that I would make where it talks about walking in the light of God's revelation, and it really harkens itself to Ephesians chapter 4 and Romans 12. If you recall, in Ephesians 4, 17 and 18, the Apostle Paul talks about do not walk as the Gentiles walk. In other words, you used to be just like them. They really have no option. They don't know any better. Now that we live in and walk in the light of Christ, though, why would we want to turn and go back to that? We know better now. Kind of relates a little bit to self-destructive behaviors. And of course, Romans 12, too, when Paul spoke to the Roman church, he said, "Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And in other words, don't turn back. Now that God has revealed Himself to you, He has called you His own, He has made you one of His own, resist the temptation to go back to the old ways, the self-destructive, sinful patterns that we once lived by. We walk in the light of God's love in Jesus Christ and the forgiveness and the salvation that brings. I also, I'll add this other piece in. I wasn't going to say anything about it, but Jeremiah in chapter 8 and 9 speaks this wonderful prayer, really telling us Jeremiah's heart. And there aren't too many prophets who, in the midst of their prophecy, take time out to say a prayer for the people that they are speaking to. But here we get that, and we see this love for these sinners that Jeremiah has, and his desires for them not to be killed. In a sense, it's almost a foreshadowing ultimately of Jesus Christ, who comes And even on the cross, we remember one of the 7 last words, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So I thought that was interesting and gives us a little personal feel for Jeremiah there. But then we go on to Jeremiah chapter 11, and I'll finish with this. I'm wondering about if you sometimes feel the same way I do, and we're in the midst of a political season, and I'm not going to make a comment one way or another about politics. What I will say, though, is when it comes to politics, when it comes to advertising, so often when it comes to what people tell us, it's almost as if we have no expectations that what is said will ever be followed through on. It's almost like we're so used to empty words and empty promises that we accept them. We assume them. We take them for granted. What I think God through Jeremiah brings out here is, unlike the wooden idols that were spoken of here today, that the people tended to follow, who really had no power to do anything, God, on the other hand, is the creator and sustainer of all. He's the one who reigns. He's the one who does, who acts. And so when he speaks, what he says are not empty words. They are the truth. And it is that truth that is transformed into action. And therefore, unlike anything else in our lives, whether it be other people or advertising on TV or politicians or anything else, we have a God who, when he speaks to us, we can take it to the bank. What he says is exactly what comes about. And so we trust in him. That's that trust process. Unlike anything else we can find, this is the one source we can go to and know that whatever is said is done. And so I take that to heart today and trust that what God has promised to me in his word and in my life will come true according to his will, and I will accept it and know that no matter what it is, ultimately he has my well-being in mind, and he's already given me heaven. What more could I ask for anyway? So I'm going to work hard today not to turn back to the old sinful self, but allow the Spirit to work in me and seek after the Lord. That's my challenge for myself today, and I pray that I might make a step in the right direction towards doing a better job of that in my life. I pray for you today. Hope you have a great day, and we'll look forward to talking with you again.